Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
I want you to look at this video about how the black community, out of the Great Depression, single-handedly saved Cadillac and made it into the brand that it is today. Watch this.
The black Americans saved Cadillac in 1934. Cadillac wouldn't even exist today had it not been for black America in 1934. And I can tell you exactly how they did it. First, you have to understand Henry Ford had 3 car companies. First was a complete failure, sold the assets. He had a second car company which failed, and a man named Henry Leland bought it and turned it into Cadillac. And then Henry had a third company we know as Ford Motor Company. Henry didn't really do the work. He hired some brothers, and then tried to cut the brothers out. Those brothers started a car company named Dodge. So I want you to understand how incestuous this is. So Henry Leland started Cadillac. GM bought it in 1919 from him. So now General Motors has it. It's one of the top luxury brands in America. But when the Great Depression hit in 1928, nobody had money, right? So you don't have auto loans. They did not exist back then. So if you couldn't pay cash for a car, you weren't getting it, and banks failed, nobody had money. So Cadillac lost 85% of their sales in 5 years. They were literally in the board meeting to shut Cadillac down with their service manager nationwide come in and goes, I think I can save the company. Like, whatever, how? He goes, we don't sell to anybody but white people. And black Americans in the South that pay white guys $300 cash over and above the price of the car so they can drive it. The elite, the judges, the attorneys, the entertainers, go for it. And Cadillac's like, what do we got to lose? So in 1934, they opened it up, the first car company ever to have integrated sales. And black Americans bought so many Cadillacs in 1934, sales went up 70%. Now I want you to ask yourself, this is the Great Depression. Nobody has money, there's credit lines. How can black Americans afford to save a luxury brand? How? They couldn't put their money in banks. And all the banks failed, all the white people lost their money. The law of unintended consequences kept black America from being harmed by the Great Depression like everybody else, believe it or not. And I talked to a gentleman who said the only reason my granddad said he knew it was a Great Depression because he saw a white man picking out his trash. I was like, wow. So, in doing this, it turned Cadillac around. Cadillac became the first auto manufacturer to hire black Americans to design and style team, not just a factory. So Cadillac came with the first integrated brands, and a lot of times we have stereotypes about black America loves Cadillacs. Now you know why. They save the damn car.
The middle and upper class black community, out of the Great Depression, built Cadillac into the brand that it is. But we don't own Cadillac. Remember that.
So that was the reason I chose to put that one up is because a lot of times what we end up doing is we assume and we don't know. We, as a people, have a big impact. We've made a big impact in America. Mm-hmm. And what ends up happening is that we just go with what the media tells us. And people tend to get to know us by what they see in the media. Mm-hmm. And so we're a little more than that. We change. Go ahead. You want to jump in that to 18?
No, I think I've seen the video clip, and if you do any history or research anything related to African Americans in America, you know that we have, situations like what happened in Tulsa and various massacres and things of that nature. Culturally, there was a time where we were able to create communities and be self-sufficient away from our counterparts, whether it be, Asian Americans, Latinos, white America, you name it. And what has tended to happen is once we've acquired a certain level of success or sustained a certain level of economic prosperity, there is a group of individuals that come in and kind of make us start from scratch by either wiping us out or doing something to extricate us. So if you look at this scenario, the Great Depression is a great example of how, yes, we were impacted, but not in the same way because of segregation. We weren't able to get access to banks. We weren't able to get access to various loans because of the color of our skin. So this is where you have individuals keeping cash in the mattress or in boxes and things of that nature within the house. And then on top of that, when you have those burnings of the cities or any type of breakdown of a community, a lot of our cash is gone because we don't have it in the same places where our counterparts will. So we are definitely at the bedrock of economic stimulus with our country. We just don't necessarily get a lot of credit for it.
Yes, very good, very good. Thank you for giving that.
There was also a different time too, where black folks actually stayed together. Now we're so economically strong as individuals. That caused a great separation among us. And now, therefore,
I have mine, you get yours.
Yeah.
Which is the wrong mentality. Justin, you have anything to add to that?
I do. I think there's a huge lesson in this that we can apply to today,
Yes.
and that is money. Money runs the world, whether we like it or not. Money runs the world.
Right.
But when the black community can recognize the power it has economically and put that money into black-owned businesses, that puts black-owned businesses on the map, and they cannot be ignored if they have the money to sit at the table.
There you
So
go.
support black-owned businesses, and that changes the world.
100%. Thank you. And that's coming from a proud white man.
That's right.
My brother. No, I love that. Thank you so much. You have anything to add?
You know, it sounds like you guys summed it up. It's one of those things that, like, to touch on everything that you guys were saying, we have to stick together.
Yes.
You know, divide and conquer is how this country is ran. You know, division is what got us to where we're at today.
You know, and I when I hear saying that we have to stick together, I take it twofold, because I think that if mankind learn to respect, well, respect starts at the house. It starts with your family. It starts with your people.
It's homegrown.
It is. But if you can't do that within your own kinship, how can you do it with others? So I really do believe that we have to work on the trust from within, and then it spreads out.
Absolutely.
You know,
Each one teach
one. There you go.
Each one teach
All righty then. Team, y'all have anything to add to that, or we're going to move on to the next one? We're going to move right on.
Gen Zs are getting fired at alarming rates. My dad just sent me this article which talks about how 6 in 10 employers are already talking about firing the Gen Zs they hired only a couple months ago. I'm a Gen Z myself, so I thought this was really interesting. Especially because in the article, it talks about a lot of the stuff that I talk about here on this platform. According to the article, here's a reason why a lot of the Gen Zs are getting canned. They come unprepared to do the job at hand. Blame whatever you want, but as I've said many times on this platform, just having the degree isn't enough. You can cheat your way through college and come out with no skills. Then when you get on the job, you're going to have a rude awakening. Number 2, genuinely not wanting to do the work. Gen Zs want to arrive late and leave early, and do the absolute bare minimum, and generally are very low initiative. It is unreasonable to expect a great work-life balance, high-paying job straight out of college. Number 3, being unprofessional and generally having very poor communication skills. How you look, talk, and act matter, no matter what job you're doing. If you're going to work, dress nice. Learn how to speak up, speak confidently, give firm handshakes. By the way, I do think that Gen Z faces unique challenges that a lot of other previous generations haven't. But every generation goes through unique struggles, so it's important for us as Gen Z to recognize them and try and improve upon them. So work hard during college, have realistic expectations when you get out of college, learn how to be professional and communicate effectively, and follow me for more content.
All righty then. It was important for me to put this up because, as you guys know, that my team is a part of that Gen Z. And I really enjoy working with them. However, they have tried me, but I've had to learn to recognize their strengths, and then also, what can I do to help them along in this professional career, their professional career? And one of the things was be an example for me. Be an example, be honest, be firm, but be loving. And so I'm going to turn it over to the Gen Zs. And oh, look at her. She's ready to grab that mic. So if you can, Kelsey, you want to go ahead and give us some feedback on that?
Yes, I actually 100% agree with him because we are a part of Gen Z, my generation. I will admit we do have those bad tendencies, but not everybody is like that. Some people were raised right. That's where I'm going to put my answer towards, because I want to say most Gen Z acts like that is because how they're brought up by their people. Because my people brought us up with respect, manners, knowing how to look people in the eye, shake their hands, sit up straight, talk right. It's not constant in this generation like it should be, like it was in the past. That's all I'm saying.
And can you answer the question, because you've graduated from college, can you talk about coming out of school, how you got the lights, and tell me what that experience is like, and then coming into the real world?
Man, it was a real hard awakening, if I'm being real honest. Trying to get onto these jobs. You think that you have this degree, you can just go ahead and get into that job. No, you have to work for it, because the people that's there, they work hard for it. They've been there for years. They went through the struggle, and it's just the beginning once you graduate college. I'm still learning that now. It's just the beginning.
There you go. Yeah. All right, anybody else want to jump in on that? Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. So I think there's a few different layers to this, kind of like what you're talking about. It's like how you're raised, right? So I think that I think for y'all growing up without the internet, right? Like there's
Hold up, wait a minute.
Right. We're not that far removed. The internet was there.
Look that way.
Sorry, I'm out of opinion, but but like y'all growing up without the internet.
Over there.
Talking about those that
We have.
grew up like that. Yeah. Go ahead, continue.
It's not even that, but it was a more cohesive experience of life. And what I mean by that is I recognize, especially within like the last 5 or 10 years, the way that we go about the internet, it's like it's catered to you versus this is the website, you're being a part of it versus the website's meeting you where you're at. So you're even building your own world with all this stuff, right? I think partly because like our generation's been so inundated with something so new as the internet and having spent like hours upon hours, everyone knows we spend way too much time on our phones. So like kind of how you're talking about like with your family, it's or I mean, not your family, but like families in general, it's like choosing how involved to be, making that the priority. If families aren't doing that, then what's influencing them is the internet. And then there's all these different kinds of subcultures. So it's not necessarily like, oh, like this is bad. This might be bad for the work environment, but this is great for this environment. The
problem with that is there is a lack of human interactions, and so they struggle. I feel that there is a big struggle and a disconnect with the younger generation sometimes with connecting with individuals, even
Socially
in the workplace, because they're very socially awkward. And not all of them, but some of them, because they rather not engage. And it's so important. It really is. It's so important that you get to a point that your confidence, because when you're not engaging, it's showing a lack of confidence. You may have it, but what you're projecting out there is a lack.
Well, a lot of them are very confident, but they like to do like the first segment. They like the Cadillac, and they don't want to. They want to do least as possible, and you have to almost tell them everything to do. They don't see some piece of paper on the floor and just pick it up because they see
that's not their job.
You have to tell them, could you pick that up? And they will go ahead and do it.
But what's been modeled, and like I say this as someone like who's like consuming content, because a lot of the content I'm saying is like, oh, you want to do this is how you do it. So when you're inundated with that for years upon years upon years, right? It's like there's that disconnect. And I think something that companies could do, I'm not saying like, oh, like every company has to do this, but I think they should take like a more considerate approach, kind of like how you are, because this is a new space and it is a little weird. If like instead of saying like, oh, like well, you should just be doing this, right? It's like, you know what? I'm gonna give a chance to. I'm gonna model this. Can I see you grow?
Yes.
Right? And if that potential is there and they're growing in that, then it's like keep them around, because it's like it may be all that they're chalked up to be, but it's all in theory and they're learning the skill.
And you're learning with them. That's a great concept. But I'm gonna go in with Diamond. You want a little piece, and then I'm gonna bring that around to the room.
Sometimes Gen Z can be entitled. And I feel like the transition with the internet era has kind of coddled us in a sense, because we're not as engaged with the world compared to, previously before the internet. And it's good to know your worth and to, of course, not settle for a low-paying job, but at the same time, you have to put some skin in the game.
There you go. Yeah, that part right there.
Low-paying job is better than no job.
And
get the low-paying job, work your way on up.
There you go, JB. You want to jump in that? I'm sure as an
I do
entrepreneur, business owner. Go ahead.
I think we employ some amazing people that are in Gen Z. So I think it's dangerous to be stereotypical when you're putting everybody in a category, but
correct.
I think it's also important to remember that whether you're launching out of high school or launching out of college or launching out of professional school, because I hire people that have been in college for 8 years that are super educated, but you still don't know anything because you've never had a job. Correct. And I think that same thing has rung true for every generation. And the greatest generation said all of these same things about the boomers, and the boomers said it about Gen Z, and Gen Z said it about the millennials, and the millennials are saying it about, or Gen X. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
When you're in your 20s, you don't have life skills because you haven't lived much yet. Like you haven't got adult experience. So I think, it's easy to throw stones at people who are 20 years younger than you and don't know all of the things that you know. But it's important to remember that when I was 20, I was a moron.
Oh my God.
When I was 25, I still didn't have near the skills that I have today. I had more at 25 than I did at 20, but you have to gain those through experience. You got to give people a chance to get that experience.
100%, but they also have to be willing. You know,
Absolutely.
you can't, and I think this is the part that's so important to me. We can't just say expect them to get it. You know, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. Yeah, they will, but they have to have some skin. They have to get out there and be willing to work. And if they're not willing to work, you as a leader, as a person that's trying to pour into them, have a responsibility to say that this may not be the right fit, because you can't just keep letting them just go through life thinking it's okay. It's okay, because they're going to meet their own self-demise. Go ahead.
So I have the pleasure of hiring people for my 9 to 5, and I run across individuals who are recent college graduates who may not have any college experience. And it is interesting to bring someone in who may be part of that generation, and you can tell that this is maybe their first job, or this is maybe their first interaction with individuals in the professional space. And I just always go back to, I had my first job when I was 14. I worked in food service. I started off at Astroworld, might be before y'all's time. Started off at Astroworld at 14 in the summer. I remember having to wake up, catch the metro, going from Acres Homes all the way down to where Astroworld is located Monday through Friday, using my paycheck primarily for bus passes and things of that nature. And then whatever remaining funds I had went towards school clothes, right? And that continued throughout my high school career. When I wasn't playing football in the summer or practicing, I was at work. And it's interesting because I have younger brothers. My youngest brother is 10 years younger than I am. And the difference between how my parents raised me and instilled certain things versus how it went to my 2 younger brothers was mind-boggling. When I came back home from college, I was like, wait, he get a choice? He don't have to go to work? Like, this is an option?
Right.
Wait a minute.
And he doesn't have to catch a bus?
He don't have to eat that?
You dropping him off? What? So I think that parenting, the housing structure definitely shaped this generation a little different. What you also have to look at is a lot of parents of the Gen Zers are a lot younger than our parents were when they had kids. And grandmama is not in her 60s, 50s, 70s anymore. Grandmama is 40, early 50s. Grandma is young. And grandma is still trying to live her life, whereas my grandmother, when I vividly remember her being a part of the raising and rearing of her grandkids, her nieces, nephews, so on and so forth. So I think that unit is different now. It's not gone. It's just different. And because of that, the principles that are passed down from generation to generation are just different.
The YouTube side, we had a couple, Rosemary Fletcher, she said, when you forgive someone, you sacrifice your own peace of mind. I thought that was really interesting. Because I've always heard of forgiveness as like that thing that is like, it's more for you kind of thing.
We're going to get more into that conversation.
Oh, that's happening.
Yeah.
All right. And then the other one, Rod Garrett, he said, don't skip over the $10 per hour trying to get the $25 per hour job.
There you go. Because you got to get the experience. That's where the money is going to come. Get the experience, get the knowledge.
And I think we're just now kind of getting to that point, because I remember growing up, especially my own family, they told me, it's like, get the college degree. It's like, get the college degree. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. And like, that's your shoe-in for how you get started, and then you can make more. Right?
Yes, if you can. Patricia has a comment. I think it's over on Facebook.
Do you want to go ahead and tackle that one?
Yes.
I've seen both sides of Gen Z, the hard workers and the entitled, but also know too many in the older generations who hold that entitled attitude or think they deserve more than they are, getting because of their age or experience, but still aren't willing to put in the work.
100%. That was excellent. That's why I felt like that was a great way to end this segment.